This is Eagle Owl, and today I will be talking about Fred Johnson being the unsung hero. Also, we got to talk about Vic Fangio putting on the masterclass. And lastly, Jalen Hurts can throw over the middle. So let's kill that narrative. But let's get straight into it.
About, man? What's going on? Hey, just call man. Just call that man. What I'm talking about. Ain't one of us. How you riding the Benz in a Tonka truck? How you got everybody lit?
You seen the video in the beginning. Of course, I can't get straight into it. Pause. Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is really him, and I'm really happy he had the game that he had, because I know if he didn't have a semi-good game, even though with this great impressive win, the narrative would have been out about Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts, why Devonta Smith not fitting in the offense, et cetera, et cetera. I like that the receivers got involved. I like that the tight end got involved. Like everybody got involved except that wide receiver three. I think we'll get that figured out sooner rather than later. But overall, I'm really, really happy that Devonta Smith got the numbers he got. Sorry for my nose. I'm a little stuffy. That's why I'm talking like this. But again, shout out to Devonta Smith doing this thing, putting up big numbers, talking his talk. And Devonta Smith, keep going up from here, showing why you are a top receiver in this league. But let's talk about the unsung hero is Fred Johnson. I mean, Fred Johnson, when we went into this game, don't lie to me, man. You can't say he wasn't the guy we was worried about. We knew Tyler Steen been holding it down. We know Lane Johnson is Lane Johnson. Landon is Landon. Cam Jurgens been looking like a Jason Kelsey clone. But when you had, you know, Fred Johnson versus I think Trey Henderson, you like, man, he might get the best of them, but we gonna find a way to win this game. I mean, Jalen Hurts had time, and Fred Johnson really stepped up and did his job at a high level. While we love that pass to Devontae Smith, that play action, it took Fred Johnson to push basically Trey Henderson out the play. Jalen Hurts loaded up, got it to Devontae Smith for the touchdown, but there were plenty of plays. There was a play, Jalen Hurts was just sitting in the pocket, and Fred Johnson held up Henderson again, and he hit not Devontae Smith, I'm sorry, A.J. Brown right over the middle, and Fred Johnson only allowed one pressure. Lane Johnson and Fred Johnson each allowed one pressure. That's insane. That is crazy. And mind you, we're talking about a backup left tackle. It's not Jordan Mailata. That's not an all pro. That's not even a Pro Bowl over there. That's a guy who was bailed up by the offensive line. Everybody kept saying on the team, the coach is like, Fred Johnson, man, he's that guy. And he's showing he is that guy because we're not missing a beat. You know, we can't wait till Jordan Mailata come back. But right now, Fred Johnson is holding it down. While Jordan Mailata is healing up, he probably is really happy. Like, yes, the team is winning. They still doing their thing. And Fred Johnson, man, he on his last year, his deal. He might have earned a deal. We're going to see. We got basically like, what, 2, 3 more games with Fred Johnson. He might have earned himself a deal with another team, or if he want to sign with us and just be the backup. But he earned himself another deal. So shout out to Fred Johnson doing what he was supposed to do. Mind you, he played for the Bengals. The Bengals gave up on him. They gave up on him, and Stalin like, come here, we'll work with you. And they got Fred Johnson right, got him a nice contract. But again, he's on his last year of that contract. And hopefully he stay in Philadelphia. But right now he's showing he should start somewhere. Just to be fair. He's showing he's a starter in this league. So unsung heroes, you guys know I like to talk about them on Tuesdays. And Fred Johnson is Eagle Owl Unsung Hero. But let's talk about the sung hero, the guy everybody know is Jalen Hurts. When we went to this game, all I heard was Jalen Hurts can't do this, Jalen Hurts can't do that, Jalen Hurts is holding back the offense. First of all, I was very excited to watch some mainstream media. That's why I don't have no reaction videos because nobody's really talking about the game Jalen Hurts had. Shout out to like Chase Daniels, like, all right, okay. Jalen Hurts is seeing the field, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't see any of these other pundits talking. And if they do, they just try to squeeze in like, yeah, I'm happy the Eagles are sticking with the run game. Now, talking about that 16 for 20, that deep shot to Devonta Smith, how he was seeing the field, getting it over the middle, 6 to 6 over the middle, 6 to 6, perfect. Talk about that second half, 13 to 13, perfect. But we got to spin narratives. And the more I hear about the game, they talk about Joe Burrow and the Bengals and they struggles. They're not talking about the Eagles picking it up. The national media was off today. They was off. But if the Eagles would have lost, oh man, it would have been, should Nick Sirianni be fired? What are they doing with all these weapons? Are they a playoff team, et cetera, et cetera? Mainstream media failed me today. Or yesterday, I should say. They failed me. But Jalen Hurts has proven a lot of people wrong once again. And actually stay that way. You know, keep talking negative and saying how we gonna fall all this, that, and the third. I think the mainstream media is gonna pop out for the Eagles and Washington game. They're gonna show their face again. But to say the Eagles are not a top 3 team, top 5 team right now, you're crazy. You are crazy. The offense is starting to pick it up. We're finding our identity. Nick Sirianni is staying out the way. Kellen Moore, you can see more and more his influence. And it's crazy that it happened and I talked about it, but when it was happening, I hated it. Like, for example, I said over the offseason, I said something like, and I think I heard LB say the same thing. The offense might struggle just a little bit in the beginning of the season because everything is so new. But as the season go on, they're going to get better and better and better. While I hated the process, I got to say I was right. I got to say some of the other content creators were right. There were going to be struggles in the beginning of the season. But now we mid-season, you see it's starting to kick off. It's starting to get better. It's starting to get better and better and better. And even the defense, if the defense played like this, like a top 10, maybe even top 5 defense, New Orleans, here we come. Because I said if the defense is middle of the pack, we can make a deep playoff run. But if you give me a top 5 defense with a top 5 offense, with Jalen Hurts playing like this, I'm sorry. I just don't know the team that can beat us, including the Lions. I don't know that team. And don't let Howie make a move before the trade deadline for like a elite edge rusher. Don't let him do that. Because if he make that move, again, New Orleans, we coming. We definitely coming, man. And let's get into the last topic. I mean, Vic Fangio, I wanted to talk about Quinion. You know, he only allowed, a catch for like 13 yards. I wanted to talk about Cooper DeJean having this great, PFF grade, looking phenomenal. The things he did against Jamar Chase. Nobody's talking about CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he had a hell of a day. Just not the interception, but just in coverage. He's getting better and better game by game. I wanted to talk about Isaiah Rodgers again, even Slay. I wanted to talk about everybody. Zach Bond, top 5 in solo tackles. But I got to give Vic Fangio his props. And I was saying this, and I was one of the few saying this. I'm like, yo, y'all going too hard on Vic Fangio's scheme. Because what I see, like on tape, when these all 22s come out, I'm like, yo, that's a good play. But such and such got to make that tackle. CJ got to make that tackle. Or Avonte Maddox got to make that tackle. Or this guy got to make that tackle. That's not a bad play by Vic Fangio. These dudes just got to make their tackles. And what's happening right now? Dudes are making their tackles. And after the bye, Vic Fangio defense has just been phenomenal. Vic Fangio defense masterclass. Since the bye week, the Eagles defense have been dominant. First in points allowed, first in yards allowed per game, first in defensive success rate, second in sacks per game, second in EPA/play allowed, fifth in red zone scoring. I mean, come on, man. You gotta give Vic Fangio some credit. And I want to show a play that Fran Duffy broke down of what Vic Fangio did just to outsmart Zach Taylor and the Bengals. But let me play this clip.
The Bengals once again coming out in 12 personnel, and this time they catch the Eagles in base. So, all right, what is their empty check going to be? Are they still going to play zone coverage? This time you can see Nakobe Dean, he is outside the numbers against the running back, and so that's an immediate tell for man-to-man coverage for Joe Burrow. This is going to be a little quick out route, but that's the check that the Eagles go to against empty. From their base defense, they played a little bit of man coverage. So fast forward to now the first drive of the third quarter. Next snap of empty from a pure regular down and distance situation from the Bengals offense. And again, you've got 12 personnel. So you've got one running back, two tight ends on the field with two receivers. Now, how do they deploy these receivers? You've got Jamar Chase as the number 3 receiver here to the offensive left. You've got the running back Chase Brown at the bottom of the screen. Take note of who is lined up against who defensively. You've got basically Nakobe Dean lined up over Jamar Chase. You've got Darius Slay lined up over the running back. You've got Nolan Smith lined up over Mike Gesicki, who's been one of their top target getters, especially on third down in this game with no T. Higgins. So if you're Joe Burrow, you're sitting back, all right, this looks like it's going to be zone coverage. It might be the cover 6 that we saw on that very first snap of empty earlier in this football game. But is that what he gets? No, absolutely not. This is man-to-man coverage and a blitz from man-to-man coverage. The Eagles are sending Zach Bond on a stunt. He's going to come in clean. You've got Nolan Smith one-on-one with Mike Gesicki going down the seam. But more importantly, you've got Nakobe Dean one-on-one running down the seam with Jamar Chase with basically no safety help. You've got a post player on the other side of the logo. That's Nakobe Dean one-on-one running downfield with Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow is flummoxed by what he sees. This is not what he expected at all. He's got Bond crushing down, so he says, you know what, let's just kill this play. Let's play for third down, and he puts this one into the dirt. This is the kind of like unsoundness that a lot of the best defenses in football right now are doing. You see these kind of things with certainly with Brian Flores in Minnesota and with Steve Spagnuolo in Kansas City. And here you see Vic Fangio playing games with the Bengals offense.
You see, initially you don't like it, right? Because why is Nakobe Dean lined up with Jamar Chase? But the reason why Vic Fangio outsmarted the Bengals is because they thought it was zone. Now, it was actually man-to-man. And it made Burrow look silly because the blitz had came. And that's just like a Vic Fangio thing. He's been really smart, and you're starting to see this defense come to life. But again, shout out to Vic Fangio. And that's all I got for you guys today. And hey, man, what do you think? How do you feel about the news today? Look, this defense getting better. Jalen Hurts getting better. Fred Johnson, we got 2-3 more games with him. And he's getting better game by game. But this is Eagle Eye, man. I'm out.